the webinar about construction project management, which is an evolving and essential component for the construction industry today. Without further ado, let's start with the presentation today. The content of the presentations are introduction of construction project management, basically, overview of construction projects, project participants in the construction industries, stages of construction project, tools for effective construction project, current scenario, the scope and research, and lastly, we will be talking about career path and job prospects in the construction sector. Introduction. In simple terms, construction project management is art of completing the construction project within stipulated project deadline and estimated budget. In any sector, management is about managing 3 M's, which are money, man, and material. In construction sector, the man and material correspond to the major part of construction project and plays critical role in determining success of the project. Apart from completing the project well within time frame and budget, project completion with optimum resources, improved quality, makes a profitable construction project. Managing a project is a continuous and a time-driven technique, starting from conceptual phase to the commissioning stage of the project. Construction project. What are the characteristics of construction project? Every construction project is unique in its nature since it has different constraints and different sign conditions. A project should have a definite scope as well as the objective, and it can be divided in specified tasks. We often term it as a work breakdown structure. These tasks should have a specific date, start date, as well as the end date, and should have definite outcome and require resources like man, material, and equipment. Types of construction project. First one is residential construction project. These types of projects include single-family apartments, flats, residential buildings, bungalows. The owner can be an individual builder or a contractor, or maybe a joint venture, and it does not require much technical skills for execution. However, these projects do also need the proper licensing and authority for its clearance. Next is commercial projects. Commercial projects are multi-purpose buildings like office buildings, shopping malls, institutions. These buildings, these commercial projects depends on the market conditions and the capital requirement. These projects require much of architectural and engineering expertise. Next is heavy construction, roads, bridges, dams, tunnels, water and wastewater systems. These are basically used for public projects and requires professionals from specialized fields like geotechnical engineers, hydraulic engineers, highway engineers. The image which you are seeing to the right of your screen is the most complicated bridge which is built in Shanghai, and it's a 6-level bridge. Next one is the industrial projects. The mills, petroleum refineries, chemical processing plants, concrete plants, auto production facilities are included in industrial projects. These projects do take a specialized design and construction activities. These are heavy works and may require around 3 to 4 years for completion. Also, the companies with a larger amount of capital requirement complete this project. The image which is in the background is the Motiva refinery, which is currently situated in Texas, which is the largest refinery in Texas here. So, who are the project participants in the construction industry? These are often termed as the stakeholders in the construction industry. These are often builders, quantity surveyors, engineers, client, architect. Owner may be in public as well as private owner. Public projects are basically owned by government agencies, and public use the facilities and pays for the facilities. Private owners are basically owns the land, and the customer pays for the service or the facilities. Another stakeholders are design professionals, which are architects, engineers, design professionals, which assist owner in developing plan for facility, make sure it's structurally sound, make sure all the system utilities are integrated in design, and are responsible for applying for and obtaining all the necessary permits. Contractor as well as builder builds projects according to specifications laid in the contract, may further supply the part of work to subcontractors, and are responsible for the major investment for the construction activities. Construction project management. is all about dealing with three major components, which are time, scope, and cost. Time required for completion, scope of the project, and the cost required for the construction of project. I would like all of you to just have a look around this slide for a few seconds right now and make sure what are the terminologies which we need to deal while understanding project management. It includes quality, budget, engineering, various stages of construction project, task, plan, manage, analysis, critical thinking. So basically, whatever the analytical part or major component are, which we can see is control, risk, plan, project, quality, and time. Stages of construction project. So first stage is preliminary phase, which is basically the conceptual stage for any project, determining the scope, location, initial budget, and the rough idea for the project. It includes feasibility study of project, how the project will go in the long run. Do we need to have this project right now? We can have SWOT analysis, which is strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats associated with the project in the long run. It also includes preliminary survey, architectural plan, a rough plan from architect, rough estimate about the project, which may vary, which may increase or decrease by 25% in the long run. And last one would be the getting approvals regarding the land. Design phase. Design phase can be further categorized as architectural design, wherein architect builds the plan according to the owner's requirement and the bylaws. Then there is a topographical survey, which is a study of contour levels of site, which goes hand in hand with architectural design or plan. Geotechnical design or geotechnical investigations are the major component for design of any project, which determines the foundation requirement for the project. Structural design, or most commonly RCC design in India, which is the next step for determining the structural components like concrete, steel requirement for the project based on the load criteria, wind conditions, earthquake conditions of the site. Final estimates, which is based on the final design of project, materials to be used, availability of material in the locality. One can expect around 5 to 10% increase or decrease in these estimates, and owner has to make provisions for these estimates. Lastly, we should get design approvals from the local authorities. Depending on the type and the scope of project, it may vary. Like for wastewater treatment projects, water supply department of that local authority is responsible for sanctioning the project and approval. Next one is bidding phase. This phase includes project specifications and design. Construction documents include agreements, condition of project, scope of project. We can have a pre-bid conference or meetings wherein the potential bidders are invited and updates all queries regarding any bid documents are being answered. After this, authorities opens the bid. Generally, the lowest bidder of the project gets the bid and is requested to sign the contract and awarded the project. Next one is contract phase. Contract phase is followed by bidding phase, and it starts after the contract has been signed or both the parties are into an agreement. Contractor is abided by the type of contract, the conditions laid in the agreement, specifications of the project, and can be administered by a contract or a legal team of both client as well as contractor. After signing the contract, the actual work can be started, which includes site clearance, which is clearing of any debris or unwanted scrap material from the site, leveling the site as a plan, excavation is done if for the leveling of site. Then we can have a foundation. After laying the foundation, we can have structural elements like column, beams, slabs, etc. After a basic structure has been built in, we can have our HVAC team, which is heating, ventilation, air conditioning team, to start their work, and plumbing department. After finishing everything, we can have finishes of the final product of the final building, and then we have the completed building, which can be proceeded to commission phase. However, it is interesting to know, like while designing of project, we start with the topmost floor of building, which are beams, columns, and the load is carried from the topmost floors. However, while actually constructing the buildings, we should go from bottom to top, which is foundation and then beams and then columns and beams. Commissioning phase. This is the phase wherein the punch list. Punch list is basically the list of all the activities which were proposed has been performed and checked. O&M manuals, which are operation and maintenance manuals. After operation and maintenance manuals, we have performance and service test of all the services which are being installed in the building. If there is any defect, the builder is liable to complete it to to repair the service within the defect liability period, which is usually 12 months to 2 years after construction. Final phase of project is closeout, wherein we can revisit the project scope if all the project scope has been fulfilled, finalizing the report and documentation of the project. We can balance the account sheet in this phase. We can run a cost benefit analysis, and finally, we can celebrate the success of the project. So since now we know the stages of construction project, let's discuss about the tools which we need to effectively complete the project completion and to effectively do the construction project management. First one is project administration. Project administration is basically the documentation work which we need for the construction activities. First one is project delivery system. The project delivery system can be of various types, like it may be a design build project system wherein a firm is been asked to design and build the project, or it may be a design build, like design is being done by another party, then it's being bidded, and then another contractor builds the project. Or it may be simply project management consultancy or construction management systems, wherein construction management or project management consultancy comes in, determines the scope of project and gets the potential contractors or builders. Project administration deals with documentation and specifications, which we have already discussed about contracts and bid. We can have electronic project administration as well. Due to this pandemic, all the departments of government official departments are moving to electronic administration, so we can have that. Changes or extra work which occurs during the construction can be handled in a project administration. The claim and disputes can be settled in this phase. And lastly, the project closeout documents. Another important tool for any civil engineering project is Autocad, which is essential for crafting project details in 2D, and those drawings form the basis of design and the construction of the building. This is the basic software which one should know to deal with construction project, as there would be changes which project manager may have to do. So he or she might have the basic idea about drafting on AutoCAD. The background image shows the plan of the floor plan rather of a G+7 building. So you can just have a look around it. It's a living area, bath, toilet, and so yes. Next slide is of the 3D modeling, since visualization plays an important role in understanding the things in a broader sense and imagine virtually. So Revit is the best tool for 3D modeling or 3D structures to understand the project features in a better way. The background image is the 3D model of the same plan which we showed in a CAD drawing. Next tool is Primavera P6. I would just zoom some of the components here to just have a look. So these are the basically activities, the work breakdown structure. Activities has been divided into certain tasks, which have activity ID, activity name, original durations, start, as well as the finish date. We can have the resource requirement as well as which resource or which party is responsible for these activities. We can have a Gantt chart or a bar chart. Here we can see the resources, like what all the resources are responsible for these projects. This is basically a Gantt chart executed on a P6 software, which is used for planning and scheduling. We can use Microsoft Project as well for planning or scheduling the activity. Next is after done with planning and scheduling, or rather dividing the activities into sub-activities, we can proceed with quantity takeoff. Since now we have a plan, and this is the image from Bluebeam. Bluebeam is a software which is an on-screen takeoff software wherein you can get the plan and get quantities. So in the software, we can get the exact area requirement of it, and then we can have a schedule of the flooring, the land unit area, what are the wall area requirement, what is the width and height. So we can determine the concrete requirement, flooring requirement, as well as the wall area to get the quantities. This can be done with any software tool like on-screen takeoff, Bluebeam. Bluebeam is basically the most widely used software for quantity takeoff. The next one is construction cost estimation. After taking out the quantities on a Bluebeam, we need to have the rates. In India, we have different rates for different states, which are published every year, known as state schedule rates. So you can get that copy and get the rates of the different components, different label rates, as well as the different resources. In US, we have a RSMean as a database for the rates, so we can use that, or we have a different database as Sage 300 or Timberline. This basically is a Timberline project wherein you can just input the quantity of the component, and then the unit cost has been inputted in the database itself. So finally, it would calculate the estimate report, like the labor requirement, the labor cost, material cost, equipment cost. We can have contingency fees, the intake cost associated with that, and finally we can get the total project cost for the component. The next important tool which we need to discuss while constructing or while managing a project is risk management. Risk management is basically the study of risk associated with the project, identify the risks which are associated in activities, monitoring and mitigation of these risks, allocation of risk, like which party is more adaptable to this, more available for performing this risk, and the safety measures, which are very important in any construction activity. This can be achieved through sensitivity analysis, risk identification analysis, risk management plan. The image where this shown is basically a risk identification analysis. We have the probabilities of the risk happening, likely, unlikely, possible, very likely. And these are the impact, like what impact it would have to the overall cost or time of the project. So we have negligible impact, minor impact, moderate impact, significant or severe. So basically we can have different activities and we can check a risk identification tool on it, and we can determine what are the activities which are very critical to be looked for.